All right, it's 5 o'clock. I might as well get us going. All right, welcome everyone. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GL Chapter 30A, subsection 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Easthampton Board of Public Works will be conducted via remote participation. Michelle, could we have a roll call?
Thomas Malsbury.
Present.
Austin Sanders.
Present.
David Fagnan.
Present.
All right, I am going to make a motion to call the meeting to order. I make a motion to open the Board of Public Works meeting on February 3rd at 5 p.m. via remote participation.
Second motion.
Thomas Malsbury.
Yes.
Austin Sanders. David Fagnan.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, a quick looks. It does not look as though we have anyone from the public for item number 1 for public speak. Also, I don't believe the mayor was planning on joining us. So we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the January 6th, 2021 meeting minutes. I believe Austin and I were in attendance. Did you get a chance to review those, Austin?
I did review them.
All right, if you have no issue with them, I'll make a motion to approve them as prepared.
Second the motion to approve the minutes.
Thomas Malsbury.
Yes.
Austin Sanders.
Yes.
2. Motion carries.
All right,
Yes.
Item number 4 on our agenda was added by Greg, trail work on the Water Division property on Hendrick Street and CPA funding for grant for microburst cleanup.
So I just wanted to bring to the board's attention some work that the planning department and a couple members of the city council have been working on over there. They were able to get some they're working towards getting some grant funding, and we're able to get some CPA funds to clean up some damage from the microburst that was a few years ago. And there's a lot of mountain bike trails back there, and they're on it's called the Borochowski parcel, and it's a good portion of the land is already in conservation, but some of it is under DPW control. So I just wanted to make the board aware of the work that's going to be happening out there. And down the road, they may be looking to establish a couple parking spaces at the water department property for mountain bikers to use. I guess there's access to that conservation property further down Hendrick Street, but there were some issues with neighbors years ago about vehicles being able to park there. So we're just kind of coordinating with Councilor Derby and Councilor Riss that I've met with on this down there. And we're just coordinating kind of the next steps for what's gonna happen with their project. I know they were doing some wetland delineation and getting ready to move forward with the work, and I just wanted to bring this effort to the board's attention. And if you guys had any questions, get them so that I can get them so I can get them to people that might have the answers. But basically, they're just going to get in there and clean up the trails. So.
Okay. All right, does the board have any questions on information provided as of now, or will we get further updates as you move along? Or
Yeah, Jeff Bagg from the planning department, the city planner, he'll probably be looking to join our meeting later this month, or the first meeting in March, to give us a better update and some more on the funding as it comes together. I just kind of wanted to get it on the board's radar. So.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, item number 5, also added by Greg, is electric vehicle chargers, DPW responsibility, and future rate setting.
So the planning department has kind of spearheaded the effort to get the electric vehicles installed. There's a set of them here at 50 Payson, and several over on Lovefield Street near the the roundabout and 1 Ferry Street building. So with those comes monthly electric bills and processing of those electric bills, and the planning department's not really staffed to do that. So Jeff had approached me a couple months ago and asked if the DPW would take those over, and basically we process it's probably in the hundreds of the number of electric bills between the wastewater pump stations and all the DPW facilities that have electric meters. So we didn't think it'd be a big undertaking for us to take on handling the bills. And with that comes the rate setting for those machines will need to be something that the board votes on in time. The planning department is using one-time funds right now to cover the monthly bills that come on those stations, and we're not seeing, from what I've gotten from the planning department, they're not seeing a lot of use as of yet because there's free chargers in different places. There's some free ones in Northampton. There's free chargers at Williston, and we've been coordinating with Cassie from the planning department on the rate setting, and she's wading through a lot of it with Eversource. It gets pretty complex with the demand charges that Eversource puts on if we use X amount of kilowatts. So she has a meeting on February 11th with ChargePoint, who is the manufacturer of the charging stations, and she's going to get some more information at that about how we deal with Eversource's demand charges and the best way for us to formulate what we charge to use those charging stations. So it's similar to the work going on Hendrick Street. It's fluid, and I just wanted to get the board, make you guys aware of what's happening with it, and the planning department will be here in an upcoming meeting to give a better overview once they have more information.
All right, well, thank you for bringing us up to date on that then. Item number 6, at our January 6th meeting, we started sort of preliminary discussions about the budget and potential rate review. Austin and I had decided just to keep it as a standing item, just to sort of benchmark progress as the budget comes together and as we pull together other information. I just want to give the board an update on what I've done so far since our last meeting. I've emailed with the DPW billing department, Lori over there, the city auditor, and with Ty and Bond, just sort of to start getting some preliminary data. From the auditor, I've received FY20 actuals, basically the budget numbers that they got in from billing and all that, and the half-year numbers for FY21 to date through, she had processed it through December, so that's a good half-year chunk to sort of see where we're at compared to where we thought we'd be. The billing numbers from Lori were actually pretty informative. We ended up closing out FY20 with a 2.5% increase over FY19 in usage. All our modeling had been, and historically had shown, roughly a 1.5% to 2% reduction in usage each year. So that's sort of where we set our rates with based on reduced usage. And we saw pretty large demand the last 2 or 3 months of last fiscal year and the first 2 months of this fiscal year. It started, like Greg mentioned, it's starting to return to sort of a normal state. But with that increased bump at the end of FY20, we saw for FY20 overall a 2.5% increase. And with the numbers for FY21 so far, even if we return to a normal demand, we're going to see about a 3% increase this year over last year. Just because of the high demand the first 2-3 months of this fiscal year. So that may give us a little cushion in our rate setting and retained earnings, for 1 year. I mean, it seems like, once things return to normal, we'll probably see a return to more normal demands, but it may have bought us a little cushion with the rates we set. But that needs to be looked at as we get closer, and once Greg finalizes the budget with the mayor, we'll have a better sense of our goal for FY22. I did reach out to Ty and Bond, not to do anything as of yet, but just sort of to get us on their radar, and not to do any sort of detailed rate analysis, but sort of how they assisted us with the emergency rate setting we did, where they sort of just did the checkbook balancing and a little analysis on the retained earnings. That's something I want to talk with Greg more about, and potentially them to see what's a good target for us to have as a reserve. if we're putting off some capital improvements, I want to make sure we have enough reserves that if we did have another emergency like the outfall or something, we have that on hand. So that's sort of where we're at. Nothing's actually, moved. We're waiting on Greg's budget and stuff like that. But like I said before, I just didn't want to do this in the last month or week before we found out we had to set a rate. So I don't know if anybody else has anything else they'd like to add to that, or any questions of the specific details I've talked about so far. Like I said, I haven't done any sort of detailed projections or rate analysis or anything like that. Last month was just basically data gathering from all parties. So.
So Thomas, if I can just add quickly, our budget meeting with the mayor was moved to February 10th.
Oh, okay.
And so we'll be getting together with her on that, and that had to be moved because we have a union negotiation tomorrow with the DPW employees that is getting close to being settled. So once we have their CBA settled, we'll have a much better idea of where we're at, and then we'll work the new number. Hopefully, like fingers crossed, tomorrow we get it worked out with them and we can get some. Because I'd really like to have the budget formulated with what we think that their rates are going to be for next year.
Yeah, and that's completely understandable. And I think with the data I've seen so far, I'm less worried. It's more, like I said, I'd rather have a longer, slower process than crunch time at the end. And if we do need to get any public involvement, if we do find that we're going to be short or we want to bolster our reserve retained earnings or something like that, I want to give as much time for public input and public hearing as needed. So,
yeah. So I think towards the end of next week we'll have some pretty good information to get on that.
I think if we shoot for having some hard numbers by mid-March and some analysis from Ty and Bond, if we need to at that point, we'd know if we need any further public input or if we feel comfortable for one more fiscal year. We'll see where we're at that point. But
yep.
As long as we're all working towards it, I think we're on track.
Yep.
Dave, do you have any questions? I know you weren't able to make it to our last meeting, but we really didn't do much more than decide we wanted to get the process moving.
No, I read the minute notes, and obviously we're kind of just beginning this, or we're right in the process of this. I think I'm good at this point, Tom.
All right, you're comfortable with our approach so far and
Yes.
how we're thinking?
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. All right, if we have no more comment on item number 6, we can move to item number 7, the director's report. If you have anything else you'd like to share with the board.
I mean, this week was been mostly snow so far. We're just watching the weather for the weekend. It looks like they're downgraded the storm for Sunday, and I'm hoping Friday's going to be mostly rain. But we'll probably be out at least hauling a little bit of snow off of Cottage Street, Union Street tomorrow. But we'll see. It's supposed to warm up, so hopefully we'll get some more melting to help us out with that. But I've been working a lot with Honeywell on the energy service contract for all the municipal buildings. Well, not all of them, but City Hall, Public Safety Complex, the Water Department, the Wastewater Treatment Plant, Council on Aging. And they're also looking at the high school, although that kind of falls to the school department. But it looks like we're going to see some pretty substantial energy upgrades, and hopefully some window replacements. And it's moving along. It's moving along well at this point. So we're right now just kind of in the surveying stages of that project, with them gathering information and taking a look at our facilities and seeing what they can do to help us get some upgrades and conserve some energy. So we did have some more trouble with the Connecticut River outfall pipe earlier this month, and earlier in January, and we found a separated joint that was caused by a blocked culvert that undermined a section of the pipe. So we were able to get the culvert fixed. The guys went in and we got the pipe patched up, got the bank restored, and the pipe back in service. So the outfall pipe is really kind of moving up in priority in dealing with it, especially in the areas where there's not much access to it. So where River Street used to come up to East Street, there's an old railroad overpass there that if you're on the bike trail, you probably walked over it. But between there and 91, not quite all the way to 91, but that is the section that we really need to focus on. and that is further complicated by these box culverts that are underneath the bike path there that take drainage off the mountain. If you ever walk in there, I think I want to say there's maybe half a dozen of these between that old railroad overpass and 91. So those really, I was speaking with Tiffany at Time Bond about this earlier today. Before we can really do anything with that pipe, whether we replace it, line it, we need to deal with those culverts, because the pipe failure of one of those will take the pipe out immediately, no matter what we do to it. So that's kind of, that's our, one of the things we're focusing on right now that really needs to get moved up and further higher on our list of priorities. So it's probably that and the Cherry Street sanitary sewer are our two big things for 2022 capital planning. So Cherry Street, we're looking at trying to get some CDBG funding for the sanitary sewer and water main replacement. We're thinking that we've been coordinating with the planning department on that. If I can get a set of bid ready construction documents, design and bid documents together for May, we can get that in the application for the CDBG funding to do some work on Cherry Street, which will hopefully it'll all come together where we can do the drainage work that we're currently working on with Fuss and O'Neill and in the municipal vulnerability planning and the grant funding we were awarded for the green infrastructure. That we can hopefully it'll all come together at that one time, and we'll be able to get a lot of work done over there on Cherry Street with utilizing grant funds. So we're working towards that. I'm waiting to see some proposals from a couple firms on the design and bid doc preparation for replacement of the water main and sanitary sewer there. So those are just some things that are moving along right now. That's basically all I've got for tonight.
All right.
Greg, have you had any applicants for your open positions?
No, not as of yet. So one of the things in getting this union contract settled, a couple of years ago, the city did a study with the Collins Center at UMass about where city salaries were at and where they needed to be competitive. And the rates that the Collins Center brought back were not a lot higher, but definitely higher than what the city was offering. And those rates were put in effect for a lot of the pay plan employees at Town Hall. And the DPW Supervisors Union was able to negotiate what the Collins Center recommended. And we're working on getting those rates worked out right now with the DPW, rank and file union. And I'm hoping that larger pay scale will be able to, the pay scale is going to be a bit high, considerably higher, and we'll be able to repost the positions with some scales that are more attractive. Like the one I always immediately think of is like the water department foreman. Right now that job maxes out at $26.50 an hour. And for the amount of responsibility that job carries, it's just not competitive. I mean, a water foreman in surrounding communities are making $30 plus. So we're hoping, I'm really hoping that we can get their contract worked out and then get our positions reposted with the new pay scale. It'll be much more attractive for a CDL driver, for example. All of our guys have Class B CDLs at a minimum, and we bring a guy in with a Class B CDL and a hoisting license right now, and he's not even making $20 an hour. So with minimum wage, approaching 15, it's tough.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So hopefully the mediation session we have with the union tomorrow goes well, and we're able to get a contract, at least a tentative agreement in place. So I'm hopeful.
Thank you.
All right. We have no more questions for Greg. We can move on to item number 8, which is the selection of a chairperson for the 2021 Board of Works term. I thank both of you for putting in to be renominated and reconfirmed. This is, I think, good to have a stable board. It's the first time in a while that we've had reappointments. So I know we're all fairly new at this, but I think we're on a good track to be a effective board. I wasn't looking to be chair when it was turned over to me, but I think I've been making some progress. So if you would like me to continue, I'd be willing to do so. But also, if either of you would like to step up and ask to be chair, I have no hard feelings about that either. So
I'd like to make a motion that Thomas Malsbury can be chair for the coming year.
I'd like to second that motion.
well, I'm already outvoted. So
No, unless you'd like to discuss
no, I
further,
think,
but you did a nice introduction there with your willingness.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's. I feel like we're in the middle of something, and I'd like to see it through, but also I don't want to force my will on it. So I will accept if you would like to vote on that.
Sure. Thomas Malsbury,
Yes.
Austin Sanders,
Yes.
David Fagnan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Tom.
Thank you. We can talk about this in a year again.
Right.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add or circle back to anything we've talked about so far?
I am good.
I did, just as spring approaches, I would, if you guys are up for it, like to take you out on a tour of some of our facilities and what we're, upcoming projects and such. So just want to keep thinking about that.
I would definitely be interested in that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you all for your time. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Thomas Malsbury,
Yes.
David Fagnan,
Yes.
Austin Sanders.
Yes.
All in favor. Motion carries. Next meeting is it February 17th?
Yeah.
Okay.
See you all then.
Great. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Good night.
Bye,
Take
everyone.
care.